Hey everybody, welcome back to Clues by Sam. I just realized that I might have said yesterday that it was Wednesday, but today is Wednesday. Because I was sure that it was Wednesday yesterday. But anyway, now it is Wednesday and we have a tricky Clues by Sam today for us. If you don't know what Clues by Sam is, it is a daily logic puzzle game where there are 20 people on a board. Each of them is either a criminal or an innocent, and you gotta figure out their roles using the clues that they themselves give you. We are here doing this every day, so if you want to play along with me, there is a link in the description to take you to it. It is free and the difficulty varies, so it starts at easy in the Monday and it goes to harder and harder difficulties along the week. So today's is going to be an interesting one and I'm going to explain my logic as I go. So let's start. We start with Evie telling us that Uma is one of 3 innocents on the edges. Where's Uma? Uma is an innocent then, and there's 2 more innocents on the edges. Now, Uma tells us that all criminals in column A are connected. Damn. Column A is Uma's column, and if there are any criminals in it, they have to be connected. But oh, the clue, Evie's clue is talking about innocents on the edges and not the corners. I thought about the corners, but it's talking about the edges. And the edges are all of the people who are around the board. So there's, how many people around it? 4, 8, plus 6, that's 16 people. 14 people on the edges. 14 people on the edges. Only 3 of them are innocents. Which means that we couldn't have, because Evie is on the edge and she is an innocent. Uma is an innocent as well. Let's say that Kyle is an innocent. Kyle will be the 3rd and last innocent on the edge total. That would separate Oscar and Gary, because neither of them could be innocents then, since we have all of our innocents on the edges. So Kyle for sure is a criminal. And the same happens for Gary, because if Gary is an innocent, then Bonnie and Kyle will both be criminals separated by an innocent. And Uma's clue says that all criminals in column A are connected, so Gary has to be a criminal as well. Now we don't know if Bonnie or Oscar are an innocent or not, because neither of them could be, or both of them could be criminals. Oh, I guess not neither of them, but one of them. So we don't know yet. Sorry. Now Gary tells us that exactly 2 of Peter's 3 innocent neighbors also neighbor Oscar. Where's Peter? So Peter has 3 innocent neighbors, right? Total. And he has 8 neighbors total. Since 2 of them also neighbor Oscar, and one of them is Uma, who neighbors Oscar and Peter, she's an innocent already, that makes it so that Wally or Laura are the 2nd innocent neighbor for Peter, that neighbors Oscar as well. And Kyle says that there's an odd number of innocents below Hazel. And we know there's going to be 1 innocent here because of what I just explained, so that means that Peter couldn't be an innocent as well. Otherwise, there will be 2 innocents below Hazel, and that's an even number, so Peter has to be a criminal. Now, Peter says that only one of the 2 innocents in column B is Laura's neighbor. Oh, Laura is in column B herself. She has 2 people neighboring her in column B, and one of them has to be an innocent, but it couldn't be Peter because he's already a criminal, so that makes Hazel that innocent. And there's 2 innocents total in column B. The second one is for sure gonna be either Laura or Wally, because they are also in column B, so we know that Deborah is not the 2nd innocent. Now, Hazel tells us that Terry is one of Saga's 6 criminal neighbors. So Terry is a criminal, and Saga, who has 8 neighbors total, has 2 innocent neighbors only. One of them is either Laura or Wally. I think I may switch the terms because I do this thing where I try to make the total in my head and then calculate each total when I hear about one of the totals. For example, Saga's total of criminal neighbors is 6, so I said, well, then she has 2 innocent neighbors. But sometimes that helps me, so I'm gonna keep doing it. Let's see how it goes. What else? What else do we know? Oh, Terry tells us a new clue. There are more criminals in column A than column B. We know there's going to be 3 criminals in column B total, right? There's Deborah, Peter, and there's going to be a third one. So that makes it so that column A has to have 4, which makes both Bonnie and Oscar criminals. And now Bonnie tells us that all criminals in column D are connected. So same thing that happened for column A happens in column D. If Nick were to be an innocent, that will make Janet a criminal because we only have one more innocent on the edge. And if it were to be Nick, then Janet would be a criminal, and that will make him separate both criminals in column D. So Nick has to be a criminal. The same thing would happen for Janet, because just as it happened in column A, if Janet is an innocent, that will make Freya a criminal, and then they will be separated. So Janet has to be a criminal as well. Now Nick says that exactly 1 innocent in row 5 is neighboring Saga. So only one of these people is an innocent, and Saga has 2 innocent neighbors, right? So either Laura or Mark are the second innocent neighbor. What does that help me with? Don't need Uma's clue anymore. We know that Peter has 3 innocent neighbors total, right? So one of them is here. The second one is Uma. The third one is going to be in column C. But the thing is, what if Laura is an innocent? That will make both Mark and Wally criminals. And then somebody down here would have to be an innocent. And it would have to be Xena. Oh, Saga could be an innocent. Could Saga be an innocent? If she is an innocent, let me try the opposite. Let me make Laura a criminal, and then both Mark and Wally have to be innocents, which would make Saga a criminal. So that works. And now she has her 2 innocent neighbors, and Peter has his 3. So Xena would be a criminal, and Ziad would be a criminal. If Saga, on the other hand, is an innocent, then somebody else would have to be a criminal, and if it were Mark, that would make Laura an innocent and Wally a criminal. And then Ziad would have to be an innocent, but in any case, Xena is always a criminal, right? And when I have a hunch like that, I like to try to prove that Xena is always a criminal. So let's try to make her an innocent and see how that works. If she's an innocent, then both Wally and Ziad have to be criminals. If Wally is a criminal, Laura has to be an innocent. And now Peter has his 3 innocent neighbors. So Mark would have to be a criminal as well, and Saga would have to be a criminal as well. Now Saga has her 2 innocent neighbors. So that works. Xena could be an innocent. I was wrong with my hunch. But what does that make of Freya? Because we know for sure that Saga is gonna have one person who is an instant neighboring her in row 5, and that's our last instant. So we know for sure that Freya couldn't be an instant, because there's 3 instants on the edges already. Freya is a criminal then. Now Freya tells us that. See, that's good. It's good that I proved that Xena could be an instant, and then I figured out that I had to look elsewhere for my answer. Freya now tells us there are exactly 2 instants to the left of the 2 instants. So the single instant that neighbors Saga in row 5 is either Wally or Xena, and that makes Xena the criminal. And now we know. Now we know that Peter is gonna have 1 instant neighbor here in row 3 and 1 instant neighbor here in row 5. So that makes Saga a criminal. And Saga now tells us that row 5 has more instants than any other row. Row 5 has 2 instants total, which means that no other row could have 2, so row 2 couldn't have 2. That makes Ivan a criminal. And now Ivan tells us that Janet has only 1 instant neighbor. Where's Janet? Janet already has an instant neighbor, that's Evie, so that makes Mark a criminal. And because of Mark, Laura is an instant. And we knew that if Laura was an instant, Wally would be a criminal. And that makes Xena an instant because of Wally. Nice. Nice one. Short one, unfortunately, but very nice. I was kind of afraid there to make another mistake, but I'm happy that I could show, again, a different way of figuring out where your logic may be flawed and how to prove things when you have you kind of think that that could work, but you haven't proved it yet. So it's important to always do that. Like, I think this is right, so let's try to make it wrong and see. If it's wrong, then you weren't thinking correctly. So that's good. I like showing that. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back here again tomorrow with more Clues by Sam. So I'll see you tomorrow and have a nice day. Bye bye.